Secretary, talk me through this idea. Michigan, a swing state, essentially becoming the opposite of Florida, as some in your state legislature are calling us. For those who are not as well versed in your state's politics, how did that happen?
Voters, in listening to voters and respecting voters is how it happened. And now you have, one state with a governor obsessed with attacking Mickey Mouse, and Michigan has leaders who are obsessed with protecting every citizen's fundamental rights and freedoms and ensuring businesses can thrive. We've had a bevy of new democracy protections and fundamental rights, reproductive freedom protections voted into our state constitution by citizens in our state. And we as the leaders of Michigan simply stand by and enable the people's work to be done.
Yeah, Attorney General Nessel, it just strikes me the fact that you can be, passing all of these great pieces of legislation in the state of Michigan, which I understand is not something that either of you do. Neither of you are legislators per se, but you're part of the body that is moving this forward. And at the same time, there are things like the decision out of Texas from Judge Matthew Kacsmaryk that still could have implications for your state. You have last night's Supreme Court decision. What are you doing to prepare for the possibility of mifepristone being outlawed in a state like Michigan?
Well, first of all, I think it's important to note that because we have enshrined reproductive rights into our state constitution, no one's going to be prosecuted for using mifepristone. In terms of our physicians, no one is going to lose their license to practice medicine. These are inherent protections that we now have. Availability is another issue. And I know that our governor is taking every measure that she possibly can to make sure that we have mifepristone available. And she's working really hard to do that. And we're working collectively to make sure that we are keeping our promise to the voters, which is to make abortion health care easily available and accessible to all who live here and to people who come here from other states as well.
Well, I want to pick up on that last point because that is very much a reality. People in nearby states where abortion is banned coming into your state. What do you say to people who come to your state in order to receive health care that is now outlawed in theirs?
What I say to them is this: we're going to do everything we can in the state of Michigan to protect you and to protect your rights. Even if your own home state is persecuting you, we will protect you.
Secretary, it strikes me that, your answer to why Michigan has been able to do this is the voters. The voters on their own cannot do it without protections for voters to make sure that as many people who want to participate in our democracy can participate. You add on to that Florida's restrictions on abortion access, loosening gun laws, the attacks on the LGBTQ community. And across the board, you see a disenfranchisement of so many different communities. When you step back and you look at it, Republicans are clearly misaligned with most American voters. They have to know that reality. They have to have paid attention to the last midterms. What then is propelling everything from these attacks on basic rights to these attacks on our democracy?
Well, it's attacks that are rooted in policies and ideas and viewpoints that are not adopted or ascribed to by the majority of people in our country, not just in Michigan. And voters in Michigan are really the heroes of our story. They are the ones who ensured not only that we have these fundamental protections for reproductive freedoms in our Constitution, but also voting rights as well. They've expanded our democracy to ensure we have citizen-led redistricting and more ability to access the vote and register to vote. And as a result, we're seeing policies that reflect the majority will of the voters. We, as their leaders, as elected officials, our job is to stand by and protect and enhance and enable the voice of the people to be heard and to come to fruition in policies throughout our state. And that, again, is the real contrast between what you're seeing in Michigan and in states that are advancing more restrictive policies that are not favored by the majority of the people.
Attorney General Nessel, we've talked about sort of everything that you have done up to this point. I wonder what you feel still remains to be done, especially with 2024 on the horizon.
Well, I think we all believe that there's a whole lot more that we could be doing. Remember, Democrats did not have a trifecta in Michigan for 40 years. That's a very long period of time. We have a long way to go. And there are so many things that I know we're doing legislatively. Secretary Benson and I work hand in hand with the legislature and the governor to make sure that we're promoting the best possible policies and legislation that's going to help the most people in our state. So, for my office, consumer protection laws, safeguarding seniors and other vulnerable adults. The list really goes on to the things that we still need to be doing. And we're going to continue to do that as long as Democrats remain in the majority here.
Secretary Benson, I don't know if you saw this, the Washington Post reporting that a top Republican legal strategist is urging Republicans to band together to make it harder for young people to vote. Feels like a movie that we have seen before. What are you doing to ensure that young people in your state have access to the voting booth or to make sure that their ballots are counted?
Yeah, I think it's important to note that despite the fact that we've been fighting these battles for years now, we are still in the midst of a multi-year, multifaceted, many-level attack on people's right to vote and citizens' ability to be heard in every state in this country, including ours. And so the work that we're doing in Michigan is simply talking to young people and ensuring policies that have been proven through data to enable young people and all citizens to vote, whether it be Election Day registration or no reason absentee voting or early voting, or simply just putting precincts and voting places on college campuses to ensure citizens have access to their vote wherever they are. We meet young people where they are and ensure they can vote. And that's why Michigan was recently recognized as having the highest youth turnout in the country in 2022, because we listen to young people and we ensure their democracy is accessible to them.